The alien hall was filled with dark banners. Torches of strange blue fire burned on the walls, sending shadows dancing across the floor. Creatures from many worlds sat in silence, their eyes glowing in the dark. At the center, on a throne of steel and bone, sat the alien lord. He was taller than any human, his armor black, his eyes sharp like blades. His laughter shook the hall, cold and cruel. Before him stood his daughter, thin and weak, her chains heavy around her arms. Her skin carried strange marks, scars from years of punishment. She kept her eyes low, never daring to look up. The alien lord raised his voice, his words echoing across the hall. "This is my daughter, my blood, yet she is broken, worthless, unfit to rule," he declared. The crowd of aliens laughed, their voices mixing into a storm of mockery. The Lord's laughter rose above them all. Sharp like thunder, she wanted to disappear, to fade into the shadows, her heart beat with shame, with pain, with anger that she could not release. She remembered the times he struck her, the times he called her weak. To him, weakness was the greatest crime, and to be his daughter yet weak was the worst curse of all. But as the alien lord mocked her, someone else was watching. Hidden in the shadows of the hall, a group of humans sat quietly. They had been brought as servants, slaves for the Empire. They had no power, no weapons, but they had eyes. They saw the cruelty, the humiliation, and they felt pity. Among them was a human captain, his gaze steady. His heart burning with silent defiance, he studied the daughter carefully. Her chains rattled as she tried to stand tall, but her knees trembled. Her father's laughter grew louder, filling the hall with fear. Yet in her eyes, the captain saw something strange. It was not only pain, not only despair. It was a spark, a hidden fire, small but alive. It was a light that refused to die. The alien lord stood from his throne. He grabbed his daughter's chin with iron fingers and forced her to look up. "Look at her," he said to the crowd. "She carries my blood, yet she is weaker than these humans we keep as slaves." The crowd roared with laughter again. The daughter's lips trembled, but no words came. Her father pushed her to the ground, his laughter shaking the hall once more. The humans lowered their heads, pretending to submit. But in their hearts, anger burned. They knew they could not fight here, not yet. But the captain whispered quietly to his people, "We will not forget this." For the first time, the daughter's eyes lifted toward the humans. She saw no laughter, no mockery, only quiet sorrow, and in that sorrow, she felt something she had never known before. It was not power, it was not fear, it was compassion. The alien lord raised his hand and declared the ceremony over. The aliens left the hall, their laughter fading into the distance. The daughter was dragged away, her chains clinking against the cold floor. But in the shadows, the human captain's mind was already made. He had seen the spark, and he knew sparks, when protected, could become flames. Outside the hall, the alien lord looked at the stars from his balcony. He thought of war, of conquest, of power.
He never thought of love, never thought of kindness.
To him only strength mattered. He did not notice that his laughter had planted a seed, not in his daughter, but in those who watched her suffer. A seed of defiance, a seed of hope. The night passed slowly. The daughter sat in her dark cell, her chains heavy, her heart heavier. She heard her father's laughter still ringing in her ears. She whispered to herself, "I am broken. I am nothing." Yet deep inside, the spark flickered again. She remembered the human eyes watching her, not with hate but with care. It confused her, it frightened her. But it also warmed her far away in their small hidden corner. The human spoke quietly. The captain said, "We cannot leave her here. She does not belong in chains," some argued. "She is the alien lord's daughter. She may betray us." But the captain answered, "She is more broken than dangerous, and broken things can still shine if given light." The humans fell silent, for they knew he was right, and so the stage was set. In the shadows of the alien empire, something unexpected was about to begin. The alien lord laughed at his daughter, thinking her broken forever, but the humans had seen the fire he could not see, and one day that fire would rise. The laughter of the alien lord echoed across the stars. But far away, hidden in silence, the first threads of rebellion were being woven. Not by armies, not by weapons, but by kindness, by compassion, by the simple refusal to accept cruelty. The alien lord's laughter had opened the story, but it would not be his laughter that ended it. The daughter sat in her cold cell, the walls of black stone pressing in on her. The chains cut into her wrists, and every movement brought pain. Her father's words echoed in her head again and again. You are weak, you are broken, you are nothing. She had heard these words since childhood, and each time they carved scars deeper than the whip. But this night felt different, for she could not forget the eyes of the humans who had watched her humiliation. They had looked at her with sorrow, not laughter, not scorn. That memory clung to her heart like a fragile thread. She closed her eyes trying to sleep, but instead came dreams, dreams of fire, dreams of wings of light breaking chains. In her dreams she stood tall, unbroken. Yet when she woke, the chains reminded her of reality. She was still a prisoner, still a failure in her father's eyes. She thought of escape many times, but where could she go? No planet in the Empire would shelter the broken daughter of the alien lord. Everywhere his spies reached, everywhere his shadow stretched. Yet in the same fortress, far below the grand halls, humans whispered in secret. The captain who had seen her spark spoke to his crew in hushed tones. She is not like him, he said. She suffers as we suffer. Some argued that helping her would bring death to them all. She is the daughter of the monster who enslaves us, one whispered. But the captain shook his head, his eyes steady. No, she is a prisoner too, a prisoner of his power, and prisoners can rise if given a chance. His words spread hope like fire in dry grass. The humans began to watch more closely. They noticed the guards who dragged her to the cell. The times food was given, the weak points in the halls. They memorized the sounds of the doors, the steps of the sentries, the paths of the patrols. Each day they built a plan in silence, waiting for the right moment. The captain dreamed of more than survival. He dreamed of rescue not just for themselves, but for the broken daughter. For in her they saw not weakness but a chance. Meanwhile, the alien lord prepared for greater wars. His empire grew restless. New enemies appeared in distant galaxies. He cared nothing for his daughter's suffering. To him she was a stain, an insult to his legacy. When he looked at her, he saw only failure. He never noticed how his cruelty was shaping her heart. He never saw that pain could either kill a soul or awaken it. The daughter sat in silence, her body weak but her mind wandering. She remembered the look of the humans, how they lowered their heads but their eyes burned. She thought of the captain, though she did not know his name. Why did he look at her that way? Why did he not laugh? Her father had told her humans were insects, weak and cowardly, but insects did not stare with fire. Insects did not pity. Something was wrong, something her father never told her. She wanted to know. Days passed, each the same. The laughter of the aliens above, the cold food thrown into her cell, the endless silence of chains. But then one night, she heard footsteps softer than usual, not the heavy march of armored guards, but careful, cautious steps. Her breath caught. She thought it was a trick. Yet through the bars she saw human faces. Pale in the dim light, the captain was there, his eyes steady, his voice quiet. We are not your enemies, he whispered. We want to help. Her heart froze. Could this be true, or was this another cruelty? Another lie. She wanted to speak, but fear tied her tongue. The captain placed a small piece of bread on the floor, pushing it through the bars. Eat, he said simply. Her hand shook as she picked it up. It was fresh, not the stale scraps she was given by the guards. Tears stung her eyes, though she did not understand why. No one had ever given her kindness without demand, she whispered, her voice thin as air. Why, the captain answered. Because no one deserves chains. Not even you. Those words struck her deeper than any blade. No one had ever spoken them to her before. Her father's voice had always told her she was weak, useless, broken. But this stranger, this human, said she deserved freedom. The spark inside her flickered stronger, though she did not yet believe it. She wanted to, but fear held her back. The humans left quickly. Before the guards returned, she sat in the dark, holding the bread as if it were treasure. Her thoughts raced. She did not trust them fully, not yet, but she could not forget their eyes, their voices, their kindness. For the first time in her life, she wondered if her father had lied. Perhaps humans were not weak. Perhaps they were stronger than her father feared. Strong not in power, but in heart. And so the nights grew longer. The humans planned in secret, the captain's resolve growing sharper. He whispered to his crew, "We will take her with us. We will show her what freedom is." Some doubted still. But hope grew. In her cell, the daughter waited, her heart torn between fear and a strange new warmth. She did not yet know what awaited her. But she felt that something had changed forever. The alien lord laughed in his halls, proud of his power. He believed his daughter broken, a prisoner with no escape. But in the shadows, a plan was forming, and in the heart of his daughter, a spark had begun to glow. The chain still held her, but hope had entered the cracks, and sometimes hope was the sharpest weapon of all. The daughter sat in her dark cell, her hands still chained, but her heart was no longer the same. She could not forget the moment the human captain whispered through the bars. She could not forget the bread, warm and soft, placed gently into her hands. Kindness was a strange thing. She had never tasted it before. Her father's world was built on fear, cruelty, and strength. But in one simple act, the humans had shown her something her father never could, something she could not name, yet it made her chest feel warm. She lay awake at night, staring at the cold ceiling. Her mind replayed their words. No one deserves chains, not even you. The more she thought, the more her father's lies began to crumble. Perhaps she was not weak. Perhaps she was not broken. Perhaps her father feared something inside her, something she had never dared to see. Her dreams became different. Once they were filled with endless chains and mocking voices, but now flashes of light broke through the darkness. She dreamed of fire flowing through her veins, of wings that stretched to the stars. She dreamed of standing against her father, not as a slave but as an equal. When she woke, the chains were still heavy, yet her heart beat faster. She felt something stir inside her, something dangerous, something powerful. The humans continued their secret visits, always at night, always quiet. Sometimes they brought food, sometimes water, sometimes only words, and each time the captain's eyes burned with determination. "You are not what he says you are," he told her. "You are more than his broken daughter." Her lips trembled at those words, but she never replied. She feared hope, for hope was the cruelest trick of all. Yet slowly, hope grew. It began as a spark, hidden and fragile. But with every kind word, every piece of bread, every secret glance, it grew. The humans treated her not as a curse, not as a weapon, but as a person. That simple truth began to heal something deep inside her. Her heart, though scarred, began to beat stronger. Her spirit, though wounded, began to rise. One night, when the guards dragged her out for punishment, something strange happened. The alien lord stood in the hall. Furious over a failed conquest, he needed to unleash his anger, and she was always his target. He struck her with his staff, and the crowd cheered as she fell to her knees. Pain burned through her body, but as her father lifted the staff again, something snapped for the first time. Her eyes glowed faintly, not with tears but with light. A whisper of power leaked from her skin, and the staff shook in his hand. The crowd gasped. The alien lord's eyes narrowed. He felt something he had not felt in years: fear. He struck her again, harder, forcing the glow to fade. But the humans watching from the shadows had seen it. They knew the truth. The broken daughter was not powerless. She carried something hidden inside, something even her father could not destroy. Back in her cell, she trembled. Her body was weak, her wounds deep. Yet she could not forget the light. She had not imagined it. She knew it was real. The power had always been there, locked beneath her fear. She pressed her hands against the chains and whispered to herself, "I am not nothing. I am not broken." The words felt strange yet powerful. They gave her strength to breathe through the pain. The captain came again that night. He saw her bruises, her trembling body, but also the fire in her eyes. "You felt it, didn't you?" he whispered. She hesitated, then nodded, barely moving her head. "I don't know what it is," she said softly, "but it's inside me. It's always been there." The captain smiled faintly, his voice low but steady. "Then hold on to it. Don't let him take it from you." Not anymore. Her chest ached, not from wounds, but from the strange warmth his words left behind. For the first time, she believed she could be more than her chains. The spark inside her flared brighter. She began to imagine freedom, not as a dream, but as a possibility. The walls of her cell still surrounded her, but they no longer felt eternal. The chains still bound her, but they no longer defined her. The alien lord grew restless. He felt the shift in his daughter, though he could not name it. He increased the guards, tightened her chains, ordered harsher punishments. But the more he tried to break her, the stronger the spark became. His cruelty no longer crushed her. It fed the fire, for she knew now that kindness existed. She knew now that hope was real, and hope once found could not be buried. One night, as she drifted between sleep and wakefulness, she dreamed again. This time the dream was clearer, brighter. She stood on a battlefield of stars, her father before her, his laughter echoing. But she no longer bowed, no longer trembled. Light burst from her chest, spreading across the sky. Her father's laughter turned to silence. Then to fear, she woke, gasping, her heart racing, her hands glowing faintly in the dark. The chains hissed as if they feared her touch. She clutched her hands close, her breath quick. The power was no longer only a dream, it was awake. And though she was still a prisoner, she knew her prison could not hold her forever. The humans whispered of escape, of freedom, of rebellion. She listened now with different ears, for she knew her broken flame was not broken at all. It was waiting to rise. The alien lord laughed in his grand hall, but in the shadows, his laughter no longer held the same weight, for the broken daughter was awakening. And when flames awaken, darkness trembles. The alien lord stood on his balcony, looking at the stars with cold eyes. To him the stars were not lights of wonder. They were prizes to be taken, worlds to be conquered, lives to be broken. But this night he was restless, his mind burning with anger, for whispers had reached his ears, whispers that his daughter had shown a spark of power. The memory of that faint glow in her eyes haunted him. He had crushed her again, beaten her until the light faded, yet the memory remained. He could not allow weakness to carry strength. He could not allow his daughter to rise. His wrath spread through the palace like fire. Guards marched faster, punishments grew harsher. Silence filled the halls. Even the strongest warriors avoided his gaze, for in his rage he was unstoppable. He ordered his daughter's chains doubled. Her cell darkened, her food reduced. "If she thinks she has power," he growled, "I will break it before it grows." But the alien lord's fury was not only for her. He turned his gaze outward toward Earth, the home of the humans. He had seen their eyes too, their quiet defiance, their hidden courage, and that made him furious. Humans were supposed to be insects, slaves, creatures too weak to resist, yet he had seen them give his daughter hope. He had seen them look at her as if she were not broken. That was a greater insult than her defiance. If humans thought they could touch his blood, if they thought they could light her spirit, then they would be crushed. He summoned his war council, their faces pale as they bowed before him. "We march for Earth," he declared. "We will burn their sky and remind the stars who rules them." The council hesitated, for the human world was far and their people were stubborn. But none dared argue with the Lord. His wrath was greater than reason. He ordered fleets to gather, massive ships armed with weapons that could erase continents. He would not only destroy humans, he would erase their name from history, and in the ashes, his daughter would learn that hope was useless, that kindness was nothing, that only his power remained in the dungeons. The daughter felt the shift. The air grew heavier, the guards harsher, the silence colder. She knew her father's wrath was growing. She feared what it meant. But she also felt her spark burning brighter. Each blow, each insult, each chain only fed her hidden flame, she whispered to herself. "He fears me." The thought terrified her, yet it also gave her strength. For if the Lord feared her, then she was not as broken as he claimed. That night the captain returned to her cell, his voice urgent, his eyes sharp. "He is preparing for war," he whispered. "War against my people, against Earth." Her breath caught, the chains rattling as she shifted. "Why?" she asked, though deep down she already knew. "Because of you," the captain said. "He fears you, and he blames us for giving you hope." Her heart pounded, guilt and fear crushing her. She had never asked for their kindness, never asked for their risk, yet here they were, planning to fight the mightiest empire in the galaxy because of her. "I'm not worth it," she whispered, tears in her eyes. But the captain shook his head firmly. "You are worth more than you know," he said. "And it is not only about you, it is about all of us. It is about proving that no tyrant can break the spirit of the weak." His words struck her heart. Heavy yet warm, she did not feel worthy, but she wanted to believe him. She wanted to believe she could be more than chains. Outside, the alien lord's fleets gathered. Dark ships filled the skies of his empire, their engines roaring like thunder. He stood before his warriors, his voice sharp as steel. "Humans dared to defy me. Humans dared to touch what is mine, and for this they will be erased," the crowd of soldiers roared, loyal to their lord, blinded by his fury. Yet behind their cheers a shadow of doubt lingered. For if the broken daughter carried hidden power, What else could be hidden in the humans? Back in the cell, the humans planned faster. The captain's voice was calm but urgent. "We must escape before the fleet leaves. We must warn Earth." Some shook their heads, saying it was impossible, but the captain answered, "Impossible is what tyrants want us to believe." And I refused to believe him. The daughter listened, her hands trembling. She felt torn, trapped between fear of her father and the strange hope the humans gave her. She wanted to stay silent. Yet something inside her pushed her forward. "You cannot fight him," she whispered. "Not with ships, not with weapons. He will crush you." The captain looked at her, his eyes steady. "Then maybe we do not need ships. Maybe we need something else, something he cannot crush." Her heart raced. She knew he was speaking of her, but how could she stand against her father? The Lord who commanded galaxies. Her fear clashed with the spark inside. And deep within, the spark whispered, "Not broken, not weak, not nothing." The alien lord stood tall in his throne room, laughter echoing as reports of the fleet's readiness reached him. His wrath had turned into certainty. He would crush the humans, he would destroy their hope, and he would erase the spark in his daughter. But far beneath his throne, in the darkness of the dungeons, a different truth was rising. The humans were preparing, the daughter was awakening, and wrath, no matter how loud, could not silence the whisper of hope forever. The stars outside glittered quietly. The alien lord saw them as prey, but his daughter, chained and scarred, began to see them differently, not as prizes but as promises. Promises of freedom, promises of light, promises that one day her broken flame would rise against his wrath. The journey to Earth was long, but to the daughter it felt like the first breath of life. The humans had risked everything to free her from her father's fortress. She still carried scars, still wore the weight of chains in her memory. Yet for the first time, the stars outside the ship's window did not feel like prison bars. They felt like doors to something she had never known. The captain stood beside her often, silent but steady. He did not treat her as a prisoner nor as a weapon. He treated her as someone who mattered. Every day he asked simple things. "Are you hungry? Do you need rest? Are you in pain?" These small words confused her. They were soft yet stronger than any command her father had ever given, for in kindness she felt a power sharper than cruelty. When they reached Earth, the daughter's eyes widened. The blue ocean stretched endlessly. The green lands breathed life. The skies were filled with warmth. Unlike the cold metallic heavens of her father's empire, she stepped onto the ground, her feet trembling, her chest tight. Children ran past her, laughing, their joy pure. She had never heard such laughter before. Laughter not of mockery, but of life. It struck her heart. Leaving her breathless, the humans welcomed her, not with fear but with curiosity. Some looked at her scars with pity, others with quiet respect. They did not bow as her father's subjects had. They did not tremble. They simply lived around her as if she belonged. The daughter had never belonged anywhere, yet here, among these fragile beings, she felt the first hint of home. She watched families gather at tables. She listened to stories shared by fires. She saw humans laugh, cry, argue, and forgive. And in these simple things, she found something her father's empire had never given her. She found humanity. It was messy, imperfect, but it was alive and in its warmth. Her broken spirit began to heal one evening. She sat with the captain under the stars. Her voice was soft, almost fearful. "Why do you care for me? I am his daughter." "His blood." The captain looked at her firmly, his voice calm. "You are not him, you are you, and that is enough." Those words made her eyes sting with tears. She had never been told she was enough. Her father had told her she was nothing. The empire told her she was broken. But these humans, fragile and small, told her she was enough. That truth was a gift greater than any crown. In her dreams, the flames inside her grew brighter. She no longer saw herself only as a prisoner. She saw wings of light unfolding, protecting, healing when she woke. Her hands glowed faintly, not with fear but with calm. The humans did not recoil from her glow. Children even touched her hands with wonder, laughing as the light sparkled across their skin. They called it beautiful. Her father had called it cursed. And in that difference, she felt her power changing. It no longer frightened her, it comforted her. The alien lord's wrath, however, reached across the stars. His fleets moved closer to Earth, his voice thundering through the galaxy. He promised to crush the humans, to take back his daughter, to erase their defiance. The humans knew the storm was coming. Their weapons were few, their ships small compared to his. Yet they prepared not with fear but with courage. The daughter watched them train, watched them build. They were fragile yet unbroken, and she thought, maybe my strength is not in fighting alone but in standing with them. One day, the captain found her staring at the sky. His voice was steady. We cannot force you to fight. It is your choice. Her chest tightened, for choice was something she had never been given. Her father had chosen everything for her, even her pain. But now, these humans gave her the right to choose. That was their gift, not weapons, not armies, but freedom of choice. She whispered, her voice trembling. If I fight, it will not be for him, it will be for you, for all of you. The captain nodded, and for the first time, she believed her words as the days passed. Her power grew stronger. The glow in her hands spread to her arms, to her chest, to her eyes. She learned to control it, not with anger, but with love. The humans showed her patience, and in patience she found strength. She no longer feared the flames, for they were not chains, they were wings. Wings that had waited all her life to be lit, and it was humanity that lit them. Not her father, not his empire. One night, she stood among the humans in a quiet village. Children laughed, elders told stories. The air smelled of firewood and bread. She closed her eyes and let the warmth surround her. She whispered to herself, I belong. The chains of memory did not vanish, but they no longer defined her. She was not broken, she was not cursed. She was alive and she was free. The alien lord far away prepared his wrath, but he could not see the truth. For while he built armies of steel and fire, the humans had given his daughter something greater. They had given her love, belonging, and hope, and in that gift lay a power no empire could ever crush. The skies above Earth darkened. Strange shadows moved across the clouds. Larger than mountains, the alien lord's fleet had arrived, his ships filling the heavens like a storm of iron. Every city felt the tremble of their engines. Every heart knew the shadow of fear. The humans looked up and saw death descending, yet they did not run, not all of them. They gathered their strength, their weapons, their courage. They knew the battle was hopeless. But still they stood. The daughter stood among them, her hands glowing faintly. She felt the fire inside her stronger than ever. Yet her heart was torn. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. Cruel and sharp, you are weak, you are broken. You will always be nothing. But then she remembered the voices of the humans. You are enough, they had said. You are worth saving, they had whispered. Between these voices she trembled. Caught in the storm of doubt, the first blast struck the earth. A city far away lit with fire. Its towers falling, its people screaming. The alien lord sent his message across the skies, his voice booming like thunder. Humans, you dared to touch what is mine. You dared to feed hope to my broken daughter, and for this, you will burn. His laughter shook the world. Cold and merciless, the daughter fell to her knees, her tears burning as they fell. She wanted to hide, to vanish, to surrender, but then a human child tugged her hand. Will you help us? The child asked softly, eyes wide with fear. Her heart broke. She had never been asked, never been given the choice. Her father had only ordered, demanded, punished, but this child asked, gently, with hope, and in that question, she felt her heart shift. She rose slowly, her chains long gone, but their memory still heavy. She whispered to herself, I will not be his prisoner anymore. The captain stood by her side, his face lined with resolve. This is your choice, he said. We will fight with or without you, but if you stand with us, you can change everything. She looked at him, at the humans around her. Their faces marked with fear, yet filled with courage. They were fragile, yet they did not bow. They were weak in body, yet unbroken in spirit. And she realized her choice was not only about her father, not only about her chains, it was about them, about the gift they had given her, the gift of belonging, of love, of freedom. The alien lord's armies landed on Earth. Massive machines of war walked across the land. Weapons burning through defenses, the humans fought bravely, their ships striking, their soldiers firing, their hearts refusing to yield. But they were outmatched, their weapons too small against the Empire's fire. The daughter watched the battle unfold, her chest tight, her breath heavy. Fear screamed inside her, telling her she was nothing. But the spark inside roared louder, telling her she was more, telling her she was not broken. At last she stepped forward. Her eyes glowing like suns, the humans turned to her. hope lighting their faces. The captain placed his hand on her shoulder. The choice is yours, no one else's. She closed her eyes, the fire rising within her. Her father's laughter filled her ears, but it no longer crushed her. Instead, it fueled her. She spread her arms wide, and the chains in her memory shattered. Light burst from her body, brighter than any weapon. The humans gasped, their fear melting into awe. The flames no longer frightened her. They embraced her. They were not a curse, they were her wings. The alien lord, high in his flagship, felt the surge. His laughter stopped. His eyes narrowed. He snarled, "So the broken child dares to rise?" He ordered his ships to focus on her, to crush her before her power grew. Beams of fire rained down, tearing through the ground where she stood, but the flames wrapped around her, protecting her, bending the destruction away. She rose into the sky, her body glowing brighter. The humans cheered, their courage ignited by her light. She faced the ships, her voice strong for the first time. "No more chains," she cried. "No more cruelty." Her power surged outward, waves of light striking the machines. The Empire's weapons faltered, their steel melting under her fire. The alien lord roared with fury, his voice shaking the skies. "You are mine. You will always be mine." But she shook her head, her voice steady. "I am not yours, I am my own." The humans fought harder. Inspired by her, where fear had ruled, hope now burned. Together they pushed against the Empire. And though the battle raged, though the skies burned, the humans no longer felt small, for with her light beside them, they felt infinite. The alien lord prepared to descend himself. He would face her, crush her with his own hands, but in her heart the choice was already made. She no longer feared him, no longer trembled at his laughter, for she had chosen to stand, to fight, to protect, not because she was his daughter, but because she was free, because she was human in spirit. As the night burned with fire and light, the daughter's wings spread wide across the sky. Her choice echoed louder than her father's wrath, and in that moment the fate of Earth, the fate of empires, balanced on her flames. The battlefield was chaos. Flames burned across the horizon. Cities shook under the weight of alien machines. The humans fought with everything they had, yet the enemy still pressed forward. Above them all, the daughter soared, her body glowing like a living star. Her fire cut through ships, her light shielded the weak. Her voice echoed with courage, but even in her strength, she knew the true battle was not against the army. It was against him, the alien lord, her father. From his flagship, his laughter thundered. The sound reached every soldier, every city, every heart. He descended from the sky in armor black as night. His shadow swallowed the ground, his presence heavier than mountains. The humans trembled, but they did not run. They stood behind her, their hope now tied to her flame. The alien lord landed, his eyes glowing with fury. "My broken child," he sneered. "Do you truly think your spark can face my storm?" The daughter's heart pounded, fear rising like a tide. For years his voice had crushed her, shaped her, chained her. Yet now she stood tall, wings of fire stretching wide. Her voice was steady. Though her hands shook, "I am not broken. Not anymore." The alien lord laughed, sharp and cruel. "You are mine. You will always be mine. Your power is my blood. Your fire is my gift." But she shook her head, her glow brightening. "No, my power is not yours. It is theirs." She looked at the humans behind her, families holding each other, soldiers bleeding yet still standing, children clutching broken toys but refusing to cry. It was not her father who lit her flame, it was them. Their kindness, their courage, their belief, every smile, every word, every hand that had lifted her when she had fallen. That was her power. That was humanity's gift. The alien lord roared, his weapon crackling with dark energy. He swung it down, a strike strong enough to shatter stone. The daughter raised her hands, her fire blazing. The ground shook, light and darkness collided. The humans shielded their eyes as the battlefield split with energy. But when the dust cleared, she was still standing. Her flames brighter, her wings wider. Her heart unbroken, the alien lord's eyes narrowed, fury twisting into something darker. Fear. He struck again. Faster, harder, each blow shaking the earth, but her fire only grew. Fed not by hate but by love, with every strike, she remembered the bread in her hands, the laughter of children, the warmth of the captain's words. These memories fueled her, burned brighter than his darkness. At last she caught his weapon in her hands. Fire wrapping around it like chains of light, she pushed back, her voice rising above the battlefield. You called me weak, but weakness is not in kindness. Weakness is in cruelty, weakness is in fear, the humans cheered, their voices rising like thunder. They shouted her name, though she had never given it. They called her sister, daughter, protector, for in their eyes she was no longer the alien lord's broken child. She was one of them. The alien lord tried to laugh again, but the sound cracked, his power wavered, his grip faltered. For the first time in his reign, he was losing, not to an army, not to weapons, but to hope. The daughter spread her wings, light pouring across the sky. Her fire rose into the heavens, cutting through the dark ships above. The Empire's machines fell one after another, their power fading under her radiance. The alien lord staggered back, his armor cracking. His pride shattering, he tried to speak, but her voice silenced his. I am not your shadow, I am not your curse. I am not broken, she cried. I am free, and I am theirs. She released her fire in one final surge. A wave of light brighter than the sun swept across the battlefield. The alien lord screamed, his body consumed by the flames. His laughter turned into silence. The ships above cracked and burned. The machines below crumbled. The humans shielded their eyes, their hearts pounding. When the light faded, the alien lord was gone. Only ashes remained where his shadow had stood. Silence fell across the battlefield, broken only by the soft wind. The humans looked up, tears in their eyes, hope in their hearts. The daughter stood among them, her wings folding back, her body trembling with exhaustion, but she was smiling, a small, fragile smile. The captain stepped forward, his voice steady. You are not broken, he said softly. You are one of us. She lowered her head, her tears glowing like fire. For the first time in her life, she believed him. That night the humans lit fires across the ruins, not of war, but of celebration. They sang songs of survival, songs of hope, songs of family. The daughter sat quietly among them, listening, watching, feeling. She was no longer a prisoner, no longer a curse. She was part of something greater. She whispered to herself, what he called broken, they call beautiful. Her fire glowed gently, warming those near her, and in that glow, humanity had given her more than power. They had given her a home. The alien lord's empire shattered without him. Worlds whispered of rebellion. Slaves rose against masters. The story of the broken daughter spread like wildfire, a tale not of fear but of hope, of how humanity lit a flame that darkness could not destroy, and though battles still lay ahead, though scars would always remain, the daughter knew her path. She would walk it not as his heir, not as his shadow, but as herself. A child of light, a protector of the weak, a daughter of humanity.